In the United States, there are many religionists who think gay marriage blows. Next on the Atheist Viewpoint. Hi, I'm Ron Barrier, the host of the Atheist Viewpoint. Dave Silverman is away on assignment, and Dennis Horvitz, my co-host, is also away on assignment. So you're going to be stuck with me for about the next 20, 25 minutes. But it shouldn't be all bad. I'll try and put a smile on your face. Of course, one of the biggest social issues, not only sweeping this nation, but sweeping many nations around the world, is the issue of marriage equality, or as some call it, gay marriage. And of course, as we see, the biggest and probably only opponent to gay marriage is the largest protector of pedophiles and rapists in the world, the Roman Catholic Church. Also, those opposing are, of course, Pentecostal ministers, and I'll get to Ruben Sierra in a minute, and various politicos who are beholden to their supernatural overlords and have to make sure that they reflect the feelings of maniacs in order to prevent rational, civilized people from dedicating themselves to another person so that they may enjoy spending the days of their lives in a mutually respectful, loving, and nurturing relationship. Human beings are social creatures. We need other people. We need the, what would be the word? The mutual nurturing that other people give us when we get into relationships. You want to feel that people like you or even love you. You want to like people. You want to love people. You want them to return that feeling back to you. And for heterosexuals, that's been the case for a while, but not always. You hear a lot of the biggest religious arguments that, you know, marriage is an unchanging institution, and it'll be between one man and one woman. Well, that's not necessarily true. Around the world, there are many different marriage traditions, marriage celebrations. I mean, my goodness, also in India, I believe you can marry I don't know if you can marry a cow, but I know you can marry goats and other things like that. Of course, it's ceremonial and all that stuff, but they do it. It's legal. Now, we're not promoting marriage with goats. I mean, we're talking about consenting, rational, civilized, intelligent people who have been marginalized by the religious for thousands of years, if I may say that, thousands of years, into denying whom they really are, into denying them the benefits of a relationship with another person who mutually satisfying a person, and keeping them in the closet. And of course, they accuse them of all these things of, you know, that they go out after children, they're perverse, they're very promiscuous. And, you know, I don't buy gay promiscuity. They're no more promiscuous than heterosexuals. Just go to any heterosexual club or bar in this United States, or a strip club or anything else, and you see they are there for the very same reasons. In fact, maybe even more nefarious reasons than gays go to their clubs. At least gays go to their clubs because it's the only way they can go to meet other people who are gay. And that doesn't mean that they're sexually attracted to them. I mean, any heterosexual guy who thinks that he's gonna, you know, punch or do something like this to a gay person because they said something kind to them and they touched them, I mean, yeah, you're an idiot. You take compliments where they come. I was a musician for many years. And at one time, a conversation and a meeting with a very beautiful young lady, or at least I thought, led to a dinner engagement. I picked her up, we went to dinner. During the dinner, she explained to me that in fact she was a transsexual. Did I get all huffy and puffy? Did was my manhood threatened, or what makes me a man diminish in some way? Absolutely not. I told the young lady that, I was flattered that she accepted my dinner invitation, and I was flattered that she thought I was worthwhile company. But I also explained to her that my proclivity is heterosexuality. And because, she was a man just as a woman, even though she may have felt like a woman and maybe hormonally may have been a woman, that, it just was incompatible. But no reason to get upset. There's an interesting film that was made in Great Britain, and I suggest that you look it up. And it was called Different for Girls. And it had to do with two best friends in high school, men, boys, who one was constantly beat up by a gang of guys because they thought he was gay, all right, because he was gay. And it's something like 13 years later, the leader or one of the members of this pack of thugs that beat up this gay person runs into a woman. And the woman says, hey, it's me. And it turned out that this young man had a sex change operation. So now physically he was a woman, hormonally was a woman, and mentally and emotionally felt and spoke like a woman. But the other person, had to get over it. It was very different. They went out to dinner. At the end of the dinner, I guess, I will say transsexual, but she already made the transition, got up to give him a goodnight kiss for the evening when the young man drove her home. He says, I couldn't do it. I'm straight. Her response, and keep this in mind, was, so am I. Because she had gone out and had the transitional sex change surgery. So in fact, she did have her body amended to be in line with her emotional and intellectual state. And I thought that was a telling line when she says, I'm straight too. The balance of the film, they wound up being together and getting married. Now you're going to say, well, she can't have children because it's a man. Well, you know what? There are a lot of heterosexual couples who choose not to have children. They may adopt, or they cannot naturally have children. They seek other means of in vitro fertilization or other medical procedures, which in fact gay couples can also avail themselves of. So gay couples in fact can have children. Doesn't mean that they can naturally, I mean, it's obvious two men can't have a child, and it's obvious two women can't have a child. But it's also obvious that two women or two men could adopt, and two women can choose to have in vitro from an anonymous sperm donor, male donor, and have a child to raise. So all these questions are meaningless. But the religious insist that somehow, especially in the United States, and it's a big issue right now in New York because today is Wednesday, June 22nd, and I believe the New York State legislature may vote today or within the next few days on the issue of marriage equality. But as this newspaper said, gay nups landmine. Now we all know what a landmine is. It's a destructive device meant to maim and kill. In this particular article, the landmine is supernatural monotheism, which is also designed to maim and kill. Of course, one of the landmines is the big guy here, the Catholic Church in New York, who is Timothy Dolan, who's the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of New York. I hope the irony doesn't escape you that a man who rejects marriage for himself, a man whose organization tells its members they must reject marriage for themselves, a man who represents an organization that for hundreds of years have sexually abused parishioners and children who have finally been nailed in this country and being made to pay for their crimes against nature, against children, and who in this country pay millions of dollars out in settlement, but yet in those legal settlements say, we're not admitting guilt. All right? That this man who has absolutely no experience on what it is to be in a mutually nurturing relationship, emotionally, intellectually, and yes, physically, with another person, that this man thinks that he is in a position to tell others that they cannot pursue completeness in their life. Even the U.S. Council of Bishops tried to lobby the United States government, urging a constitutional amendment. They say here to protect marriage, which is laughable, but really it is to prevent a particular class of people from engaging in the mutual benefits of marriage that the rest of us can freely do so without consulting with politicians, the clergy, or my community. Since when did it become the business of complete strangers to interfere into an American citizen's choice as to whom they choose to marry? Right? I mean, I don't recall when I proposed to my wife sending out a notice to all my neighbors, or sending out a notice to the local mayor, or the councilman, or notices to the local clergy asking, oh, is it all right if if I marry this person? No, it's none of their damn business. And if gay people want to be married, it should be nobody else's business either, except gays. But no, we have to have crazy ministers from Harlem, and one of them, who is probably the most poisonous man in New York City, Ruben Diaz, a state senator who is not only a senator, and I don't know if he really is, but he's a Pentecostal minister to boot, coming out as the most vociferous opponent, agreeing with other ministers who call gay marriage the equivalent of pedophilia, of calling it, well, you know what? In a way, they speak from where they know. I think the clergy knows more about pedophilia than any other single group of people in the world. And also to compare it as sex with animals. Ruben Diaz had an anti-gay marriage rally up in Harlem, and the picture in the paper, I wish I had it, was filled with Hispanics and black people from the local churches up there. I am of Hispanic heritage, so what I am about to say is not racist. But I wonder how many people who were at that rally for Ruben Diaz actually have whole, happy, mutually nurturing marriages. The black community in the United States is notorious for single motherhood and black children being raised by their parents because the black men walk out. The same thing is in the Hispanic community. There's more divorce, walking out, and single children being raised by their parents in the Hispanic community than just about any other. So don't you, as Hispanics and African Americans, tell anybody else that they can marry or how they should run their marriage. All right? Look at your own house. So the bishops try to give some sort of baloney here. They say what are called homosexual unions, because they do not express full human complementarity, and because they are inherently non-procreative, cannot be given the status of marriage. So to them, it all comes down to sex. As if somehow sex is the end all of a relationship that has complementarity. Or what's the word to use? Full human complementarity. Well, sex is not the be-all and end-all of a mutual, nurturing human relationship. In fact, it is this attitude of using sex as the complementarity to a marriage that leads many married couples to divorce, because the first thing is sex, and when the sex wanes and there's not enough interesting about having sexual relations with their partner, they start to wander, okay? And they wander like these dumb politicians do. And they do things on Twitter, and they send things over the internet. They're cheating on women. They're picking up hookers. They're traveling to Argentina. They're looking for sexual partners in the bathrooms in Minnesota or Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's disgusting. So this attitude by the bishops, in fact, promotes divorce. Sexuality should be your last item of complementarity, because the human person is so complex. There are so many other things that involve a complementary mutual relationship. My wife and I have been married over 35 years. Do we have sex with the frequency of rabbits like we did during the first few years? No. But I don't wander, I don't look, neither should she. Why? Because we complement each other in so many additional ways that the sexuality becomes merely a side issue. Yeah, you get together once in a while. I mean, after all, on TV, all they advertise are boner pills all the time. There's absolutely nothing for women on television except that crazy anti-abortion commercials. But other than that, it's this product for erections, that product's for erection, this product for erection. Everything's about erections. Maybe that's what we worship in this country, erections. Maureen Dowd, in an article in the New York Times, offered a take on this, considering that the United States has actually a perverse view of sex, that maybe priests should be allowed to get married and politicians should be celibate, so that the priests won't go after children and politicians won't have an excuse to either collect look at other women or collect families, as some of these these defenders of the family like Newt Gingrich, Vito Fossella, John Edwards, and others like to speak about. Oh, we're for family values. In fact, we love family so much we collect them and we hide them. Vito Fossella of Staten Island was a congressman who not only signed the Defense of Marriage Act, but also signed on to the 10 Commandments in public schools. Remember, like, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife? Well, this bum, it was found out, was for 3 years conspiring to hide a second woman and a child from his family and from his constituents for 3.5 years, and calling it a mistake. I'll tell you what a mistake is. A mistake is cutting a door to the wrong size for your doorway. That's a mistake. All right? Conspiring to commit fraud for nearly 4 years is not a mistake. And these bishops, with their fancy outfits, have the gall to tell somebody that they can't engage in a marriage with another consenting adult when they themselves reject it and have absolutely no concept of what it is to live in the real world. You can answer, you put the final word on that statement, because I don't buy their excuse for a bunch of men, single men, telling others what to do. So now, American Atheists has a policy. We don't have a position on this. There may be atheists who are against marriage equality. I can't see why, because if you're an atheist, you have to lend yourself towards rationality. And if you can come up with a rational excuse as to why you're opposed to marriage equality, other than the excuse that that's the way it's been, or falling to the tyranny of tradition, then I think maybe you should examine your own views. And this is, again, this is a state issue, not a religion issue. The religious groups, especially the Catholic Church in the United States, you know, now that they're seeing the handwriting on the wall that it very well may pass, well, they need exceptions. They need exceptions because they feel that they are the gatekeepers of discrimination. They are the gatekeepers of marginalization and hate. They are the ones who want to preserve discrimination and hatred and demonization as part of their value system. So now the state will have to carve out exceptions so for these religious groups so that they can keep hatred, disgust, demonization, and discrimination alive within the confines of their hallowed or hollowed walls. And I think the biggest irony is this organization called the Knights of Columbus. Now, the Knights of Columbus is, you know, like Opus Dei and some others. They're essentially pawns of the church, henchmen if they have to be. And they want an exemption too, because they don't want to rent out their catering halls to gay couples. You know, and there's some Jewish groups too, especially the Orthodox. Oh, you know, the irony behind the Knights of Columbus is that this organization was they were the ones that destroyed the motto of the United States, E pluribus unum. I'm sorry, not E pluribus, but they were the ones that destroyed the Pledge of Allegiance by having the government insert the Roman Catholic God in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay? I will not say the Pledge of Allegiance, because we are not one nation under the Roman Catholic God, okay? That is a lie. That is a falsehood. And the government is promoting a lie and a falsehood. So I refuse to say it, you know. But so the Knights of Columbus, oh, we wanted this country to be under God. So now they got everybody in the world, gay or straight, whatever, pledging the allegiance under the Roman Catholic God. But yet now, when we want to give those same people marriage equality, oh, well, oh, the Knights of Columbus are so concerned. But meanwhile, other conventional businesses, wedding planners, catering halls, they're all jumping at the chance because economically, this is a boon. And I hope that it remains a boon for all these other businesses. And I would like to see the Knights of Columbus and some of these Jewish catering halls maybe go bankrupt. You know, as Chapman Cohen, a long-time old atheist, and you can get his books, the Freedoms, Essays in Free Thinking, right here from American Atheist Press. Chapman Cohen did a short essay which always impressed me, and he demonstrated how religion, and especially and specifically supernatural monotheism, is always the last to be dragged, kicking and screaming into the 21st century, into civilization and rational believing, rational thinking, whether it went from slavery, women's rights, civil rights, evolution, science, okay? We move on, we progress, no, and then after a while, they're so outvoted that, oh, okay, yeah, we got to go along with it. Well, hopefully someday these religions will realize that their propriety to preserve discrimination, hatred, and demonization is a failed endeavor. Check us out on the web, www.atheist.org. You will find out everything you need to know about American Atheists. If you have doubts, if you have questions, please contact us. We're here for you. I've gone through the questions. I can help. We can help. On behalf of the president of American Atheists, David Silverman, my co-host, Dennis Horvitz, myself, Ron Barrier, and Todd Jones behind the glass, until next time, take care of yourself.